Well, you see, that's the whole point, is the word lie needs to be defined. Sometimes not telling the truth, all of the truth, is your moral obligation. And you have a moral obligation to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth at all times to anyone who asks you. You would say, that's not in the Bible. The moral thing to do is for me not to tell you. You ain't getting nothing out of me. Those issues relating to whether you have a moral obligation to tell the whole truth at all times to everyone, that needs to be answered by pointing out you don't. You do not owe them the truth. And see, that's another fallacy. People run around thinking life is just, and they run around thinking you owe the truth to everyone. You don't. That's what the Bible teaches.
That was from Morey's available audio tape from the REF, catalog number J54.
If someone tells you ahead of time that they don't believe that it's wrong to lie, can you believe them for anything they say after that? If someone tells you they believe it's all right to lie if they get in a pinch, how can you believe them anyway? At any time.
When you accuse someone of looting and stealing and embezzlement, that is a crime. And they have used communication to transmit this in interstate transmission. And so this particular law of Title 18, number 875, the United States Code, is designed to protect us as individuals against someone just destroying our reputation and accusing us of criminality when we are not guilty, when no charges have been made, when no indictments have been made, no law enforcement agency has ever even been brought into the picture here. And that's what Morey has done, that's what the REF organization has done when they mail this out across the United States.
In fact, Bob, it wasn't just a small mailing either. It was a large mail out on a bulk nonprofit corporation permit. It went out to virtually all the churches in this city that we're filming this in, Austin, Texas, and I've received phone calls and letters from people across the nation who received it in the mail asking me about this thing, telling me about this thing, just as you got yours over in Pasadena. Because we're talking about Robert Morey, whose books are listed in big Christian publishing companies in their catalogs. Here's one of his books, The New Atheism and Erosion of Freedom, here in the Presbyterian Reformed Publishing Catalog, books for 1995. They have big write-ups about his books. Here's another one they're carrying. So this man is known all across the United States. He's been on hundreds of television and radio programs.
And he's even got me in his catalog there.
Well, not in the PNR, but in his own catalog.
Oh,
you're listed in the REF catalog.
He's got me listed in there. And that's one reason, Larry, I wanted to get in it and to speak up in defense of y'all when it first happened in September, because, see, I had been identified with this man and organization, and I've been on some tapes, some videos, and I'd also, in our paper, had promoted REF and Morey in our own magazine. And here it was, he was sending all these accusations around, accusing you two men of being, in effect, criminals. And here I was being identified with him. Well, I thought this over. I said, well, I don't want anyone to think I'm endorsing Morey. And so that's why I expressed myself with regard to it, and have repeatedly the last 4 months tried to express myself about it, because you know, I resent the fact that without any substantial accusations, when I say substantial accusations, I mean he did not go to any law enforcement agency and say, I have a charge against these men. He went to these couple of whatever they are, these fellows that helped him here, Slavitskas and Perez, to write these letters up. And these men whatever their qualifications are, they're not qualified to pass judgment on someone of a crime. And yet that's what they've done.
In fact, I just wanted to say, Bob, that this mail-out is affecting hundreds, if not thousands, of people across the country, since it was such a large mail-out, and this story that's being promulgated through the mails constantly, almost since May. I mean, we haven't talked about his other mail-outs, but this is, I think, the most significant of all his mail-outs because of the laws you were quoting here. But he also puts out newsletters, which I have one here called The Truth Seeker with Bob Morey. And this one here I'm holding in my hand is from July, August 1995. And in his Truth Seeker newsletter, he mentions here on one of the pages, I think it might be page 3 perhaps, I don't have a page number on this Xerox, but down at the bottom of the page of his newsletter, he says, announcement. The report of the independent accounting firm hired to examine the financial records of the Texas, that's us, my brother and myself, that's who it's talking about, of the Texas REF office, and the ruling made by the arbitrator is now available. Please contact us at Truth Seekers if you desire a copy of their decision. And obviously, I think he's referring to these papers that you've been discussing now for the last several minutes. He puts it right in his newsletters to all his followers nationwide through his newsletter. And when you look at it, his other newsletters he puts out, like here's another Truth Seeker from January, February 1995. Looking at his letters section, he mentions here, there's letters mentioned in here like it says, I had a Christian organization stolen, so I can feel for you. There are some unscrupulous people out there who pretend to be Christians. I commend you for protecting your ministry. Is enclosed as a gift to help. Mm-hmm. God bless you, etc. And as you go through here, you find out, you know, that there's other letters where people are feeling sorry for the man. He's apparently been ripped off. There's unscrupulous people doing terrible things to him, and so they're sending him funds to help him get through this crisis he's having. And what we're talking about here, Bob, is many people being affected by this through interstate communications basically on a continual basis. Because look, this is going back to January, February 95. This other one was from July, August 95. Here you bring up the most significant, which would be September 95, and this is a continual drumbeat of accusations and charges, and all the while he's getting sympathy and support. People sending money to this man because they feel he's been, been ripped off.
And Larry, one mail out which I had received actually in 1994, he referred to the fact that he was, in the meantime, I assure you that all funds sent to the Truth Seekers ministry is used 100% for our outreaches. Mm-hmm. And the question I have is, if it's used 100% for outreaches, what are these letters attacking you and Gary have to do with his outreaches? I mean, is it a part of his ministry to solicit letters from guys like Perez and Slavickus to attack people and accuse them of crimes, and then to mail out across the United States? Is that a part of their work? Or are they some kind of a gangbusters outfit that if they find somebody that's guilty of embezzlement, they'll write them up and get a couple of letters to say, hey, this guy's an embezzler, and then mail it out all over the United States? But he says here...
Also, he does mention also in the letter that he wants us to return $10,000. So not only is he getting sympathy and support from all his listeners, but he also wants us to pay him $10,000.
Yeah, that statement you referred to is right here in this letter from Perez, which is one of the 4 pages Morey had in the mail out. Perez says here, as the arbitrator. Well, he was no arbitrator of anything. He says, I hereby rule in favor of the Research and Education Foundation.